Joining me now to assess Comey's upcoming testimony that we've just learned about that will occur before the Senate Intelligence Committee and much more, Fox News anchor, attorney Gregg Jarrett, and Republican National Committeeman, former chairman of the Republican Attorneys Association, Randy Evans. I want to thank you both for being here. And Gregg, let me turn to you first. This development, testifying in open committee, this is something of a surprise tonight.
Well, I've always thought, and I've covered Comey for a great many years since he was U.S. Attorney, that he's kind of a guy who'd walk a mile for a camera. He has an ego, and we've seen that before. It's one of the things that I think offended President Trump, who also loves cameras. And I wrote in a column the day that Comey was fired, and I should say Mueller was appointed, that special counsel doesn't change anything. You've got 4 congressional committees that will continue their investigations. They'll hold public hearings. They will compel witnesses to testify. They will obtain documents. So if the White House or anybody else thought that Mueller's appointment would change it, it doesn't.
Randy, your thoughts?
Well, I completely agree. I mean, Comey had, at some point, I've talked to several people who have worked with him for a decade, and they said there came a point where he suddenly had stopped being himself and started being almost a caricature of himself, which he loved the camera so much, he loved the audience so much, that became the driving force rather than doing the job of the FBI director. We started to see that happen late last year, and it's only gotten worse because it's a beast that you can never feed enough.
Well, this is a beast that's been feeding, gorging himself, in point of fact, and given the historic issues that he's contended with as FBI director, and now his firing itself adding to the drama. But Mueller taking over as FBI director, he has a relationship with Comey, does he not?
Because Mueller has been appointed the special counsel, he has a glaring and serious conflict of interest that arguably should disqualify him, and he should consider resigning. The conflict is his long, close personal relationship with James Comey, who will be a key witness in all of this. Because, look, this investigation...
Who worked for the FBI director.
Oh, sure. And you talk to any agent, they were joined at the hip.
Right.
You know, they worked together closely. They stood together in defiance during the Ashcroft fiasco over warrantless wiretaps. Look at when they were together, when Mueller handed over the reins to Comey, they were effusive in their praise of each other. There is a conflict of interest because Comey is a key witness.
And why is the White House, why is the Republican Party, the leadership of the House, the Republican leadership of the Senate, not screaming as loudly as they can, Randy, given the obvious prima facie conflicts that now we're all sitting here watching in the special counsel's office?
Because they're spending every waking moment reacting to the endless leaks that come out of this White House. And I'll be blunt with you, Lou. At some point, somebody's got to be held accountable for all the leaks that are coming out. To have the notes from a meeting where you know the people that were there to be leaked to the New York Times, there has to be a reckoning. I would hope that this president doesn't bring everybody back with him that he took with him on the trip, that there actually has to be a point at which you say, all right, enough already. If you can't do your job, if you can't find and stop the leaks, then we need to find somebody who can.
Well, at this point, one of those people should have been James Comey. Others should be the head of the CIA, the NSA, the incoming director, of course, will have that responsibility. I have never seen any other administration have a bit of a problem running down a leak. Have you?
No, I mean, look, leaks have always bedeviled administrations and presidents. Washington leaks like a sieve, but this is unusual. This is now, you know, the Hoover Dam that has a huge gash in it, and it's crumbling. These leaks are everywhere, and it is horribly damaging the president's ability to do his job.
So why does his chief of staff, all of his august senior advisors, why isn't Jarrett or Ivanka or somebody chasing through that White House like a bloodhound to find out what's going on? And I'm naming just the few names that came to mind immediately. leaving us. I mean, the National Security Council, I mean, this place is, right now, there is no security, national or otherwise, in the White House. Randy?
No, you're absolutely right. And, you know, you're right, Lou. And what you're seeing is absolutely a White House debilitated by the constant leaking. And it's completely unacceptable. Most of those folks are my friends, but I'm just going to say, this is completely unacceptable. There is no reason why you can't find, when you've got a finite group of people who were in the meeting, the person that actually leaked the notes. There's just no excuse for it. Right. And at some point, we owe it to this president to actually consistently drumbeat to say you need a clean house. What the house you've got there now isn't getting the job done. You're going to have to make some tough choices and get some people out of there.
And so do you have any names? Can you be straightforward? Because it's clear that the Speaker of the House, who has a sort of a Hamlet-like existence and relationship with the President, is not, if you will forgive my saying so, reliable. The majority leader of the United States Senate is basically missing in action. And meanwhile, the president is not being served by the very people he has appointed. He's made compromises to bring in Reince Priebus and his coterie. He has made all sorts of compromises to work with the House and the Senate. The fact of the matter is, the Republican National Committee is nowhere to be found in all of this. The donors who supported Donald Trump and those who have since joined on, they are nowhere. This is a man standing absolutely squarely in front of everyone who is literally trying to tear him down and to carry out the first coup, in my experience as a journalist, against the President of the United States.
Well, you know, I remember when Bill Clinton took office, and it was a total mess. Chaos reigned everywhere for a long, long period of time. He had to do some house cleaning.
But he was in a benign, relatively benign, relative to this White House, right. Benign
Well,
situation.
Here's the difference. There wasn't the Internet back then. There wasn't 24-hour
right.
cable news except for CNN back in those days. It wasn't as aggressive back then. So he wasn't getting hammered on an hourly basis the way, you know, this president is.
I think you're right, Greg. And Randy, back in the day, as Greg said, you would never know how old he is to cast us back that 30 years. But there was at least honor among thieves back in the days of the Clintons. That seems to have changed.
Well, Lou, I came on your show and I said the president would rue the day that he put never-Trumpers in the White House. And everybody was, they jumped on board and they said, no, we've got to bring the party together. We've got to bring the team together. We've got to bring everybody, every faction. And I said, you can't put in your most trusted circle people you cannot trust. And we're now paying a heavy price for that. And the fact of the matter is, he knows, we know who the never-Trumpers are, and they need to be eliminated from the White House. I'll just be right up front with you. And as a member of the committee, I say it.